Abib is not afraid to open the wallet either. And then Scoundrel, he's always.
He gets scoundrel. He scoundrels himself sometimes.
He's the scoundrel.
So JD, Dan and I are head to head in a knockout round in football, guys, this week.
No way.
Oh yeah,
we are. And,
That's
statistically,
awesome.
I think Dan's like a 5, like whatever. It's the FFPC projections, but Dan's a 5-point favorite. I think we both have pretty decent lineups this week. I'm stuck at running back, but I have some.
We need like a side. We need some side action on this thing.
Yeah.
It's funny because we're teaming up on our main event team. We're like unified, and then we're head to head in the other league. It's just the nature of the beast at this point in the year.
Yeah, yep. Dan and I have there's not one team Dan and I own that's not competing for that league right now with our dynasty rosters. We're pretty much literally across the board. There's not one team.
So I had that start sit I texted you guys about, or I DM'd you guys about with the it was Ingram, or I can wait on James Robinson with Matt Breida at the pivot. And I think I'm gonna wait on James Robinson with Matt Breida the pivot instead of going for like the guaranteed touch guy where, no starting offensive tackles and Taysom Hill quarterback. The dump offs probably won't be as prevalent for Ingram. It might be like a game where you get like 20 touches, but 15 touches and they don't amount to a whole lot.
You know that New England is just going to be sitting in a deep shell the entire time and just daring Buffalo to beat them on the ground.
Yeah. Especially with Breida.
That's that's what I think is pretty wild about our where you and I are going up against each other in the hard way, because you've got Mahomes, and Denver just might sit in a deep shell. And then I've got Josh Allen, and New England might just sit in a deep shell. So it might be whichever quarterback can, overcome it to the greatest extent. But I'm kind of expecting down games from both the quarterbacks in that particular contest.
Yeah, Shelly and I have Josh Allen in our main event team. But I mean, we're pretty big favorites in that league, and we have Madison and Connor and Cordero Patterson and Najee. So we have like the running backs. We started Dalton Schultz, though. That was the other big decision of the day was Dalton Schultz versus Dawson Knox versus TJ Hawkinson. And we ultimately went with Schultz, and it was before the Cooper news. I don't know what you guys think. It was none of them have a great matchup in terms of like teams letting up points to the tight end. They all, if we had to rank those guys, I think we'd all have them somewhere between like tight end 6 and tight end, 10 this week. If we were ranking tight ends, I don't think there was a huge like advantage in that, but we felt best about the Dallas offense this week. And we didn't want to have to wait till Monday night and have too much relying. Like you said, that New England Buffalo game could be not as fantasy friendly as we'd like it to be.
Those ones usually aren't. It's like New England KC type of games where you expect last year. Remember expecting explosions and it was like nothing, or not last year, a couple of years ago, probably now. But you know what I mean. Those you think like two powerhouses are coming in, and let's face it, that Buffalo hasn't been too heavy on the power offense with regards to what they've been putting up versus last year, especially up in the air. So
New England's been so good, and that's Jackson's team too. I'd love to pick his brain on that.
He's a New England guy.
Yeah, he's a big New England guy. Yeah, for sure.
All right, I knew I didn't pick him for a reason. No, I'm joking. I'm a Colts fan. I gotta not like Patriot fans. So just Theo, I was letting Dan know. And I'll say it on here just because I told him I'd give him a quick shout out because they were pretty good with us. What is it? StreamYard. I always go to say Stream for some reason. We use a StreamYard to do these. And anyways, we kind of renegotiated something with them today. But the one unfortunate thing that I didn't tell Dan is our amazing show from Tuesday. I can't get it out on podcast format because the last 2 shows we did, we were over our maximum time. And it's not allowing us to download the audio from those. So I tried to do it many different ways in the last 48 hours. I tried to do it through anyways, I tried to do a bunch of ways. If anyone's listening and they think they can help us, I mean, reach out to myself or Dan. But from what I know now, because it was done when we were over the time, it's something that this is what I was annoyed of. But anyways, point is, really good show on Tuesday. Amazing show, full of goodness with Christopher Ebel, the most recent NFFC. Oh, there he is. Oh, we got our guest. Nice. Oh no, that's Theo. That's coming
Theo.
in. He's got the double spot. So yeah, check that show out, guys. NFFC Hall of Famer, inductee, just a really sharp guy. And we dropped a lot of goodness, from now to down the stretch, going after that trophy. You're not going to want to miss that show. If I can somehow get on podcast between now and this weekend, I'm going to keep trying tomorrow and tonight. But from what I know, we will not be able to get that one out there in audio land. So check it out on YouTube. Make sure you guys subscribe so that you get notifications every time we come on. So we have a guest coming on tonight. He's running a little late. Not a problem. It is the Tailgate. Welcome to the chat, guys. Welcome to the room. We got some live viewers. If you guys have questions, lineup questions, trade questions, any kind of questions, drop them in the chat. We're here to answer them. We're going to be just talking about a bunch of stuff, guys. Let's start off with Dan. You want to go right to Cooper? Or what do you want to do?
Let's go to Cooper. I mean, basically I think the idea is what do we expect out of Cooper this week? And I've been working my brain through that and coming up with basically not a whole lot. I'm starting Gallup over Cooper, for example. And then you're saying Cooper is going to be the wide receiver 3 basically tonight. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I would say, Lamb, Gallup, Schultz, those 3 guys are probably, and even Pollard are probably going to be better options in the passing game than what Cooper is. I think Cooper will get a couple looks here and there, but I'm just not really, I'm not really wild about starting him. I have one league where I've got the decision: Kendrick Bourne or Amari Cooper.
Gotta ride that Bourne hot streak now. He's I think Kendrick Bourne is wide receiver 12 overall since week 5, I believe. It's a crazy stretch. He's just absolutely crushed it. I have I bet
Theo, we're losing you. Maybe leave and come back. You've been freezing, brother.
But
yeah.
Mark.
Yeah, he's on.
Yeah, we lost him. Okay, guys, just to give our the audience here, basically the news that came in is that Amari Cooper will play tonight after 2-game COVID absence, but still expected with limited volume of snaps, and his conditioning level is not what it was 2 weeks ago before he got sick. Is basically the message. What Dan and I were talking about earlier is, it feels like there's a lot more warnings about his snap counts than usual. Usually these guys, they say that they might be limited, but here it seems like everybody's areas. He's eating his banana, getting his calcium.
Yep.
Before the
got the potassium going, man.
Potassium. That's what I meant. Potassium.
Yep.
Welcome, Jax. Welcome back, brother.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Theo's kind of popping in and out. He's having a little bit of issues with
this new technology called Wi-Fi or something like that.
Are we video too?
Yeah,
yes.
We are video.
Okay.
Yes. Do your hair, man. Come on.
My hair.
So how's your season going, brother?
Pretty good. How are you guys doing?
Good, man. Good.
Really good. Yeah. We got some, JD and I have several dynasty squads that are doing really, really well. And then, got, you and I have a FFPC main event that's crushing right now, and Theo's got a few other teams in there. So yeah, it's been a good season so far.
You guys have a main event team that's doing well?
Yeah,
we do. We have a Tampa stack. We got Elijah Mitchell rocking and rolling. We have James Conner. I mean, that team is good. Yeah, that team is looking pretty good.
We have Kamara sitting on the bench, and we don't even care.
Right.
Let him get healthy.
Those are the best. Oh, Gibson's playing now? Okay, yeah, okay. Maybe we'll throw him in. We'll see.
That's incredible. That's awesome.
Yep. Yeah. So
we were actually talking about your boys with the big matchup this week. How you feeling about New England Buffalo? Got to be excited for that one. So
good. I mean, it's interesting. Like the last even the last couple of years of Brady. Obviously, last year was a throwaway year, but like I don't know. This just feels like early 2000s again. It just feels so cool. Like, yeah, I remember when we played the Rams in that Super Bowl. That whole year, Brady's first year, we were underdogs. We were scrappy. Nobody believed in us. It was just that was way more fun. I mean, I know it sounds crazy if you guys aren't a fan of a team that's ever had any sort of a run like that Patriots team, but it's like,
oh yeah, because those are just all over the place.
It's just more fun,
especially up here in Toronto as a Leaf fan, and it's like,
yeah, it's more fun to cheer for that underdog. I mean, it's fun to cheer for them when they're winning and all that sort of stuff, but when you're expected to win, it's like, I don't know. It's just different. This is more fun. I love this. So if we win this year,
it's not as fun when you actually do win because it was expected, right?
Yes.
It's fun to do the unexpected. That's
yes.
what we want to see in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean those Brady teams, like they win the Super Bowl, and you're like, all right, that was cool. That was great. All right, you lose the AFC Championship game, you're like, fuck, how the fuck did we lose? Whereas. So yeah, it's just better this way. This is great. I love this. And of course I did pick the Patriots to win their division on my podcast. Of course I did. Like we did a season preview. So picking the Pats to win and beat the Bills in the AFC East it'll be sweet if that comes true. So.
No, I remember you had a tweet and you were still, they had the very disappointing game 1 against Miami and you were still very bullish on them right after that game. And we actually talked about in the Coach District, they had a couple of excruciatingly close losses where this season could look even better. I mean, they had the Dallas game, the Tampa Bay game, and the Miami game, all point flip games at the end. So that team really has some juice, and they've got it kind of figured out on offense with all those pieces, it feels like, and the best kicker in the league.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going into this past week. I had sent a tweet these are the teams with over 300 points scored, and it was like 4 teams. Buffalo, I think Buffalo, Tampa, New England, and someone else, maybe Arizona. I can't remember exactly. Doesn't really matter, but 4 teams had over 300 points, and I said these are the teams who have allowed less than 200 points, and there were 3 teams: Buffalo, New England, and one other team. New England's like one of the only teams on both lists. I mean, they're just them in Buffalo, really. I mean, they've got the biggest point differential in the league. So it's really, if you look at point differential alone, this New England Buffalo.
Top 4 point per game: Tampa Bay, Buffalo, Dallas, and my Colts.
Yep.
New England number 7
in PPG. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Just raw point differential. They're still number 1.
How do you see this game going between Buffalo and what's New England's strategy going to be defensively? What do you think Buffalo is going to try to do defensively? What do you think the 2 teams are going to try to do offensively? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's going to be it's going to be one of those old-fashioned games. I mean, Bill is in his element right now. I mean, with the league going to spread him and shred him and all this sort of stuff, and he's just winning rock fights. I love it. It's so much fun, so they're definitely going to try and impose their will. I was listening to Mike Lombardi. He was talking about how Buffalo has been a little bit susceptible against the run, and the way to beat them is to sort of control them with the offensive line. New England's kind of been able to do that, so I think that's what they're going to look to do and limit possessions. And then on the other side, I mean, you almost have to dare Buffalo to run the football a little bit and not let them just get loose for big plays. I think if Bill had his way in this game, I think he's going to make Josh Allen convert, keep converting, keep making, 12-yard throws, not one big play, So I think he's going to want to make him have to convert over and over and over again against this very good defense. So both defenses are great, but I think, I think it matches up fairly well for the Patriots, who want to be able to run the football. And if there's something that Buffalo does do, it is give up a little bit of those runs. So it's just going to be awesome. It's snow in Buffalo, night game, cold. It's just going to be outstanding.
It's fantastic. All Monday Night Football games should be divisional games, in my opinion. It's just
That's a
why
good
not?
idea.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, that's great. Oh,
Yeah,
it's gonna be
we-
great. I'm already nervous.
We were talking
we
about.
have a question from Jimmy Pop on here, so I think we should probably get to that. I'll start on that, and then we'll throw it around the horn. But
Cool.
New England or Minnesota, tempted to slide the Vikings in with the cake matchup. Do not bench the Patriots defense.
Yeah.
Just don't. You know, and the thing is, I think they're probably going to go into a deep shell, and you know, like Jax was saying, that I think they're going to force Josh Allen to be patient and beat him underneath, and I'm just not sure he's got that in him. I expect Allen to you know, get a little bit frustrated, try to uncork a couple deep throws, and anything can happen on those. So I would be looking for Buffalo to get probably some interceptions, probably you know, a sack or two, and probably score pretty well.
It's also a weather game too. So I mean,
Right.
you know, yeah, you always want to take a bad weather game where it could be low scoring, sloppy. Who knows? I mean, yeah, I
Versus
definitely
a
stick.
dome.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, we actually, I had sent this in our DM chat with Andrew Schellenberg, another Goat District member, with these guys about Miami versus New England, and Dan gave pretty much the same answer. It's tough. Sometimes I feel like when you get too cute and you bench the elite defenses, that's the game you miss like the pick six. Something explosive happens. It's kind of like at this point you might as well just ride them to the end.
And I think you can do. I think you can throw Folk in there as well with regards to the
Mhm.
kicker for New England. They've got the most. I tweeted it out. Most field goals made, I believe, is New England right now.
He's been unbelievable. He had 5
Smashing.
last week.
Is it
last
possible
week,
he
and,
wins MVP? I mean, it's in play, right?
I don't know. I got a couple fantasy teams that he's carrying pretty well. So
Yeah, I got to give Dan credit. Dan's the waiver wire kicker guru for me. And as soon as he said Nick Folk, I pretty much had him on like 3 of my FFPC teams that week.
yeah, I've got quite a bit of Folk in a lot of places. I've got New England defense in a lot of places, and I've got them doubled up in several places. You know, and there's been you know, weeks where I've gotten you know, basically 40 points out of my kicker and defense. And I mean, if you can,
That's
start
huge,
with that,
man.
yeah,
FFPC,
if you can
that's
start with
huge.
that, I mean, you know, good luck to the other team, but they're gonna have to have some big performances to catch you.
that was the Thursday night game. I think it was the Atlanta game where they had 40. It was 47 combined. I had him starting as well in the league. New England kicker, New England defense, and the week's over for your opponent based on that.
Off the 2 positions that should be scoring the lowest scores, you
That's
know,
it.
and that's
That's
beautiful.
You might as well take Sunday off if that happens to you with the kicker and defense on Thursday. You know,
Yeah. Speaking of, I think Dallas is probably sitting in a pretty good position to score well defensively too. So if you're looking for a
That's good.
defense to pop in, I feel pretty good about Dallas this week as well.
I also, getting back to New England, one other player we were talking about before you got on was Kendrick Bourne. I mean, how happy are you about that signing, and how about his fit stylistically with the team?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, it was interesting too. A lot of people were like down on the Bourne signing, and I didn't understand that one because he was so cheap. I mean, he's basically free, you know, and even Aguilar was like a glorified 1-year deal. I mean, I think maybe they're a little bit committed to him in year 2, but you know, both these guys were basically free. I always like Bourne. You know, those guys that you watch when you're watching, you know, Sunday, where you're like, that guy's better than the public gives him credit for. He's just been one of those guys. Like, I'm like, he's a good wide receiver, and he's been better than good with us. Last week, he made 2 outstanding plays to get in the end zone. I mean, the catch in the corner, and then he caught one. His long touchdown pass was a shallow cross where he like beat a guy, then got to the corner, accelerated up the sideline. Like he just looked really good. So yeah, I'm really happy with him. He's been very available for Mac Jones, you know, and I think that's really Mac is an accurate thrower, and I think he's really you know, been a good match with Mac Jones just because he's an available target.
Is Mac where do you put Mac when you're ranking your rookie quarterbacks for this season, Jackson?
I was asking this question. I don't know what does that mean?
Let's say you're right now you're drafting rookie quarterbacks. Where do you put him? Is he ahead of Lawrence? Is he right behind him.
Like in real football or in dynasty?
No, like fantasy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what I've been asking. Like right now, if you're redrafting, I feel like you almost have to take Mac 1.01. I mean, not out of those quarterbacks, I mean, it's really close, man. It is razor close between, I think, Lawrence and Mac Jones. Mac Jones, here's the thing with Mac Jones. He's solved equation. We don't know what the ceiling is, but we now know the floor. And the floor is Kirk Cousins. Like everybody was saying, oh, if he could be Kirk Cousins, that'd be great. It's like, well, that's done. That's solved equation. He's going to be awesome, and I said he was going to be efficient, not prolific. That's been very much right. I don't know if he'll ever be prolific. We'll find out. But I do know this. People say, well, he can't throw down the field, yada, yada. And I always ask this question. Whatever team your favorite team is, which New England Patriot would you like as your deep threat? You go ahead and choose one. No, thank you. It's like they don't have one. So, I mean, when you say he doesn't throw the ball down the field, it's like, to whom would you like him to chuck it deep to? Bourne is a close to the line of scrimmage guy. Obviously, Jacoby Myers is a really great slot player. Nelson Aguilar would be their number one deep threat. Nobody wants that guy on their team, like literally nobody. So I think he's been great. And it would be interesting to see if he had like legitimate weapons, how good Mac Jones can be in not year one. So yeah, I'm super excited about him.
One thing that I heard today, I think, was the RotoViz guys, which, man, they gotta chill in the commercials, man. They got they're like the Joe Rogans of like fantasy football podcasts right now. I'm almost, anyways, and I just relax on the commercials. That's all I gotta say. But the thing they said that stuck out to me, and that really makes sense, and that's kind of how I feel about it, is Mac Jones. Maybe the ceiling is not there yet, or we haven't seen it, or because of the offense, the setting of the offense, but the safety of him as a starter in New England for the next, I mean, he's not going anywhere.
Nowhere.
He's starting. What he can only get better from here. So it's like that safety factor almost balances out the ceiling that you might see with some of those other guys.
Yeah, and I mean, look, there's always a difference between a super flex or 2 QB quarterback and a 1 quarterback.
True.
Quarterback. Does that make sense? Like, I mean, he doesn't have that much value as a single quarterback. I mean, it's fine, whatever. I mean, in a single quarterback league, it's always different because really you're just shooting ceiling. I'd still probably take Lance over Mac Jones in a single quarterback league because it's like, I still want to have that, apex predator, that guy who can be a top 4 or 5 quarterback. I'm not sure Mac Jones has that upside, but in a 2 quarterback league, man, this guy has just found money.
Especially as your QB3, which he probably is for most people to draft.
3, 4, 5, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I tweeted out back in rookie draft time. I took Mac Jones over Zach Wilson. And I was like, it just feels so good to do this.
Yeah, if only the Jets could have been so smart.
Right, exactly. And I got a lot of blowback on that. I mean, and I retweeted it about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I still got a ton of blowback on it. Even with Mac Jones playing as well as he has, and Zach Wilson playing as poorly as he has. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and argue arm strength or anything like that, but it comes down to you got to have a quarterback who can make plays, and Mac Jones makes plays, and that's what I'm looking for, especially for my quarterback too, which is what he hopefully is on that squad. In Superflex.
And
yeah, I mean,
I think that was
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to say, I thought that you made a great point about, the Superflex versus single quarterback league. And I think when you're doing your dynasty startups this offseason, Mac Jones is a great guy to target because you lock up a quarterback position for conceivably 10 years, and it lets you concentrate on hitting other positions potentially in the draft. And he's a great QB2. I think moving forward in those super flex leagues, and I think New York, if they could flip the script, I think they would absolutely trade quarterbacks. And I also think Atlanta might have drafted slightly different. I think if they could have seen how Mac Jones would have looked.
That's just
or Denver
to me.
We did a fun thing. Maybe I'd do it with you guys or whatever, but it was a lot of fun. We did a mock draft where there was, I think, 6 of us. And we each took like whatever, the 32 teams in the first round. We each took, 5 teams or whatever. And we drafted for those teams. We did a show, and it was what we would do. not, and so it was not a mock draft where it was like what we think will happen. It wasn't a mock draft where it was just what would you do if you were on the clock. So it was kind of cool because I didn't know what you were going to do. So what you did, I had to react to that, and we just did the show that way. And those quarterbacks were gone. I mean, Justin Fields went to Detroit. It was one of our favorite picks of the draft. I mean, I just don't understand. We were doing the show. We were talking about like, Mac Jones went 3 to San Francisco in that draft. So like the quarterbacks were gone, the offensive tackles were gone. And you know what? If we look back at our mock draft, it was better than the NFL's draft. I mean, just because you got to get those quarterbacks locked down, and the NFL is so bad sometimes with like, I don't know what they're thinking. I really don't even understand it. Like, Carolina, Denver, Detroit, Atlanta, like what the fuck? You literally have this one draft with these 5 quarterbacks. Normally you're not getting access to a guy like Mac Jones. Like Mac Jones goes first overall in this coming up draft, right? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
probably is.
They mess it up every year.
There's nobody in this draft that really excites me for sure. And and the thing is New England is able to just sit there at 15.
Yeah.
And,
so
they don't
cool,
even
right?
have to move up.
So cool. They're just like, yeah, click, whatever. Good
Don't,
job.
don't they just make everything look easy?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Except for drafting wide receivers, yes.
Yeah. But they don't need them. They got Bourne and Aguilar. Come on, man.
Well,
Don't remind me.
That's the way you got to go. I mean, if you can't draft a wide receiver,
my pain goes all the way back to Chad Jackson from Florida.
Oh God, yeah.
I remember that guy. I was so excited. Oh.
My route to Mac Jones. This is I've won this league 2 years in a row now. Shout out to Matt Hicks, the Dynasty Premier League. I'm going for a triple header. So I sent Jimmy G for the 204 and 403. That was in May. And then I sent my 204 for 209 for the 201, which is where I picked up Mac Jones. And that was just pure money. That was on May 19th. So little action there where you got to see the value, especially when a quarterback's falling at 201 in a super flex.
Yeah, I'll go back to that draft. I mean, no chance that he should have been available at 201. I felt like there were the 5 quarterbacks, even Zach Wilson. I had him in there just because he's drafted 2nd overall and he has upside. I think those 5 players, the 3 running backs, Najee, Javonte, Etienne, obviously we know the stories there, but still, I would still redo it the same way. Chase and Pitts, and that's 10. So you can't let any of those players get out of the top 10. You can't be drafting Devontae Smith or Rashad Bateman over any of those guys. It was so clear that the draft just played out that way, and I don't know how anybody let any of those guys get out of the top 10. I had picked 10 in so many leagues, and there was a couple times I had a couple of spots where I would just trade back up into 11 or whatever, 11 or 12 to go get whoever they passed over for some stupid reason. You just grab that top tier talent. Unbelievable. Yeah.
But Trey Sermon.
Yeah. So stupid. Yeah. If anything, it was Elijah Mitchell. That was the one. And, I mean, as it turns out, we all loved Elijah Mitchell going in. I've got some receipts on that one, but
40%, baby, 40% ownership.
Yeah, I know. You tweeted at me. It's so good, man. Look, he's really, really good. I mean, he had all the peripherals. I think I tweeted at one point, it was the Senior Bowl or wherever the hell they weighed in. I think it was Senior Bowl weigh-in or something like that. And he was 5'10", 216. And I was like, there we go. Perfect.
Yep.
Because like you watch film, he looks fast, he looks good, but he plays in a small conference. And you're like, I don't know if this kid is, 5'11", 198, maybe not, but he's got that NFL body and he's showing it, man. But guys are bouncing off him.
Dan made a great point. Dan made a great point months back regarding Elijah Mitchell, how his college offense was pretty much the exact same offense in terms of the running game as what San Francisco does, and that helped him a lot. And I think what's very interesting, we brought up Trey Sermon. If it was Trey Sermon doing what Elijah Mitchell was doing right now, we would be talking about Trey Sermon as a 2nd-round pick in redraft next year. People are completely discounting him as a redraft asset and as a dynasty asset because of his draft capital, and I think that'll eventually correct itself. But how do you see him in terms of dynasty? You think that he's done enough, in my opinion? What about you for moving forward with next year?
I just traded a late 22 first for Elijah Mitchell, so I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm in. Look, there's risk. The draft capital is risk. I mean, if you remember, when they all signed, Kamara signed, Mixon signed, Dalvin Cook signed. Who was last to sign? Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones was the 5th round pick. I think he's a lot like Aaron Jones in that way where, you're just like, I don't know. It's just crazy. The NFL is
That's actually that's a good one. I didn't even, I was thinking about the J-Robe, the James Robinson, but I didn't even think of that's a good one. I like that.
Because he's not undrafted. I mean, he was drafted, so I think they were both 5th round picks. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not.
And he's 6, isn't he? Mitchell?
Maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe. I don't remember.
Mitchell was 6.
Mitchell's 6. Yep, and Jones.
Yeah,
okay. But you get the point. It's the same difference, right? I mean, at least there's some expended draft capital, which is a little bit better. It's just weird how they, the sunk cost corollary, and the NFL has no idea what that's all about. I mean, the best example of that was when Arizona drafted Kyler, and they, everybody was like, no, you can't draft a quarterback. You just drafted a quarterback. It's like, they don't have a quarterback. They have fucking Josh Rosen, Can I swear on this? Is that okay?
Yeah, man.
Go ahead.
Yes.
And he'll put his earmuffs on.
Yeah,
earmuffs.
That's right.
I made a move. I made a move for Mitchell today. I told you guys. I sent Dobbins and a 22-second for Elijah Mitchell, Mike Williams, and a 23-second as a contender trying to make a push. I know everybody loves Dobbins, but
yeah,
I think I can build up some value with Elijah, and Mike Williams right now is probably at a lower end of his value, and I think that can only rise up from where it is right now.
Yeah. Mike Williams? What the hell's going on? Speaking of that guy, I mean, I don't know if that's what we're talking about, but my goodness. I mean, mid-season, I was saying he's like, I mean, how high would you put him in dynasty ranks? And now I'm like, what the hell? I mean, I'm just shocked by how they're using Mike Williams in LA.
Still 8 targets last week, just only caught half of them.
Something ain't right with that Charger team.
Yeah, that team is that team seems to be going backwards a little bit. Besides Eckler,
they're throwing underneath all the time, which is just it doesn't really fit Williams' style. Because earlier in the season they were throwing deep a little bit more, and they were having great success.
Well, he put up
opening up the whole offense, and now it's like they're defenses feel pretty comfortable collapsing down in on them a little bit more. And look what Denver did. I mean, They just basically forced Herbert to, keep just kind of chunking his way down the field and not make a mistake. And sooner or later, the mistake would get made. A pass clangs off of Eckler's hands and gets returned for a pick 6 or whatever. And it's just, it's tough when when you gotta sit there and string together that many plays. It's hard to keep the offense going.
Unless you're New England, but other than that, it's still
exactly. And there are a few teams that are good at it, but most teams are not as good at it.
I'm agreeing. I'm just being an asshole. But no, it's true. Like, where's their speed on that team? Obviously, it's not Keenan Allen. It's not Mike Williams. So then it's like Jalen Guyton, who literally didn't he play the most snaps ever with the fewest targets ever? Like he had some sort of record last year, most routes run with fewest target. Like his target rate was like anemic, so he really does not command targets. Whether he's fast or not, I think it's irrelevant. So then Josh Palmer is maybe their stretch.
Throw that in there, fellow Canadian.
I mean, is he? I don't know if he's the answer. I just don't know. Maybe there's not enough team speed. The offensive line, especially the right side, has been having some issues. So I think maybe they're trying to protect Herbert by throwing underneath because they don't want him to be suspect to this offensive. I don't know. But it's not working.
When you got Mike Williams, I mean, the guy is a contested catch guy. Just send him wherever he goes and just throw it to him.
Right?
But is that not a Chargers offense issue? And that's kind of why I think Mike Williams is a buy, because I mean, dude, he put up in his first 5 weeks, he put up 22, 22, 33, and 36.
Yeah,
in 4 of those 5 weeks. I mean, that I don't think that just disappears. He's a young dude, like you said. They just haven't been using him the same way, and I got to think that eventually, sticking the talent. Rising in the top, I think that he could be a good buy right now, and I don't know. I took a swing at it.
Yeah, if you'd have given me those game logs blind and said what happened, I'd been like, what injury did Herbert get?
Yeah,
because it doesn't make any sense, right? It just doesn't make any sense. So
totally.
Or what injury did Williams get?
Guys, let's get to some questions in the chat. Smash the like, guys. Jack's bringing the goodness as usual back in the district. We had one with Javonte Williams and Jamal Williams, because just obviously with Swift injury. We talked about Denver. Where are you guys at? He says, or start both along with Patterson and take Mooney out of the flex. So I guess you got to pick 3 of these 4. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Pretty
kind of.
much.
Okay.
I'd start them all. I would start them all this week. I think Javante's
So who are
trending
you
up.
sitting?
Hey, what's
Well,
going on with Melvin Gordon, I guess, is the question. Is he playing? Because that's kind of,
Yep.
I mean, if Melvin Gordon doesn't play, then you got to put Javante in. But let's assume Melvin Gordon's playing, then it's a little bit more difficult, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think in that case, you're definitely starting Jamal, Patterson, and then your decision is Mooney or Javante.
Right. I agree. Well, I
Yeah,
guess that's what he's asking us. What's the answer, right?
Well, yeah. I think the answer is, it kind of depends on what happens with Melvin Gordon. Hopefully Melvin Gordon doesn't play, and it makes it easy. And then you're going Javante, Jamal, and Patterson. I'll leave Mooney out if those 3 are going. But
I might play Javante over Mooney anyhow. Mooney playing the Cardinals. I don't know how much success they're going to have as a team against the Cardinals. Obviously, Mooney is liable to break one, but I think Javante's been seeing a few targets per game. What's he averaging? 3. I mean, he could see 4 or 5 targets. He could catch the ball a few times against that defense that has been better lately. They're playing the Chiefs, right? They've been a little bit of a run funnel. He could find his way into the end zone. I think if you're betting who's going to score a touchdown, Mooney or Javante, I think we'd bet our money on Javante if we heard one touchdown was scored amongst those guys. So it may be still all 3 anyway, but and if Melvin Gordon plays, it may be that he is limited or he re-aggravates something or something does happen where all of a sudden Javante is thrust into it. So I think I'd take my chance with the 3 backs, maybe depending upon scoring. I'd have to see that if there's something there, but I think Javante might be the guy.
Yeah. I'd have a hard time arguing with that. Mooney just feels like the one who's the most likely to disappoint.
Yeah.
I think it's Muzio, but our friends at the Fantasy Data say Gordon is 50-50. Probably doesn't play. So
Yep.
Javante, I think, definitely as a starting running back in that offense is very attractive.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
The answer is always Javante Williams.
There you go.
Any other question? What's in the chat? I was going to bring up, Dan, we made a move today for Pollard. I know that the Dallas game is on tonight. We already talked about the receivers. Did we touch enough on Pollard and what his value is moving forward, and maybe the Zeke owners, what they should be doing?
Yeah. Let me throw a different question on there. So this I think kind of goes a little bit more to it, but he's asking Pollard, Coleman, or Burkhead.
Never Burkhead. Is that an
if,
answer?
if DJ doesn't play as an RB2, he already has Dak and Zerline on the same team. I'm still in that situation. I'm still going Pollard. I think he's got the most upside.
Easily for me.
Yeah, I think that's not close for me either. I would go Pollard strongly.
Jax?
I'm sorry, I was looking at my dynasty rankings because I thought we were going to ask that. Pollard, Coleman, or Burkhead? Definitely not Burkhead. Boy, oh boy. The upside is so capped and limited. Tevin Coleman's interesting, but I mean, if you're, especially if you're maybe Tevin Coleman, if you're the favorite, maybe, just to, because he's going to get something. But actually, I just think it's Pollard almost no matter what. I mean, he can just get what those guys get you in like 2 carries, right? He can just get 50 yards on 2 quick ones. So I think it's probably Pollard. I don't think there's any other way to go, really.
I'll give you guys one. I'll give you guys one selfishly for myself. Tight end premium scoring. This would be a flex play. Pollard or Dawson Knox. That's a tough one, right?
Yeah, that is a tough one.
I've gone back and forth on this many times.
I mean, obviously the Bills are going to get shut out on Monday night, so I would go with Pollard. Almost 0% chance of Knox scoring, of course.
Plus, Knox just blew up, right? And the tight end rule is if the guy just blew up, you sit him. If the guy hasn't blown up in a while, put him in your lineup.
Yeah, don't point chase at tight end. You're going to hurt yourself.
Yeah, I'll give the opposite thought on that is, Belichick is always going to try to take away your best weapon. That's going to be Diggs. That's where his focus is going to be. That may open things up for Knox.
You're probably right.
So we might see some, several catches down the seam. if when you're talking tight end premium, if you get enough catches, it almost becomes who cares if they even score.
Yep, I agree with that. And
All
a
right, so
full
this
tight
is
end
gonna be
premium too. If it's a big enough premium too, I almost always just start out as many damn tight ends as I can in those flexes.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it's a 1.5er, but yeah. So I'll just go back and forth for the next almost hour. Just keep flip flopping because you guys basically gave me a split.
All right, so Muzio is in the chat saying powered over Knox, so he likes.
There you go.
Thank
you, Billy, for the tiebreaker. Appreciate that.
Nice.
Well, it's funny too. I mean, sometimes if you're going, here's a little dynasty game theory 101. I mean, if you're 50-50, you almost want to play the guy early because what if something happens down, late where Knox is a late scratch, you have no wiggle room, so sometimes when I'm close, I just get those guys in the lineup, and sometimes it hurts too because you throw up an early goose egg and you're like, what the hell did I play Pollard for? You feel dumber for longer, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad play. It's true. You do. You're like, if you don't play him, you're like, still got a chance,
Mm-hmm.
You play the shitty guy first. You're like, oh my God, what did I do? But it's usually smart because like I said, who knows? Knox could be a late scratch. I don't expect that to happen, of course, but when it's close.
Great point by Billy that New England is very, very good against tight ends. I think they've only given up 2 top 12 tight end performances for the entire season. So that's another. That was it's very impressive with that defense.
Yeah, Dan.
Yeah, and a bad weather game. I mean, it's just there's a lot of who knows what there. But
Johnny Guerrero bringing some good ones. FFPC choose 2: Judy, Elijah Moore, which I think is probably on a lot of people's decisions this week, and Devontae Smith out there in the high-powering Philadelphia Eagle offense.
Yeah.
I'm going Elijah Moore for sure out of the 3. I mean, that's the no-brainer, I think.
I'm probably sitting Judy, to be honest.
I think I'm going to sit.
I'm sitting Judy. I think I'm starting the rookies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're all playing Elijah Moore, and then it's maybe between Judy and Smith, which is crazy. I lean a little bit Judy. I don't know. I mean, they're going to have to score to win this game against Kansas City. They're going to have to chuck it a bit. Who's Philadelphia playing again? I'm sorry.
Jets.
They are
the Jets. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, you want to play all your backup. I mean, you should play a J-Jaw. I mean, play every.
Hang on a second here.
No, every Eagle has to be in there. What's the other guy? Greg Ward, get him in. Everybody. No, I'm just teasing. Golly, yeah, the Jets are terrible, man. Obviously. That's a rough one.
So
KC is favored by 9.5, so Denver is going to have to throw the ball, I guess.
They are.
Yep. All right.
Dump off
so
Stitch Williams.
Yeah.
So ML worried about James Robinson and Najee Harris for this week. I think definitely time to be worried about James Robinson. Yeah. I think you got to have an option going in either the late games or the Sunday night games or a Monday night game if you're planning on playing Robinson, because he could end up a surprise inactive, or maybe not even a surprise inactive. We might get news before that, but I would make sure I have like a decent option available after the early slate has already gone off for Robinson. Najee Harris, I am not concerned about at all.
Nope. Bounce back game.
Yep. He got game scripted out of Cincinnati, and really, other than that, he hasn't really had terrible games. He's had decent to very good games. So I'll take Harris. I'm not too worried about it. Baltimore's not that scary of a defense, so I'm
also. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm never not playing a guy like Najee Harris.
No,
right?
Because I just can't. I mean, yeah, you might predict a down game and you might even see it coming, but I mean, the opportunity and the upside and just the way he plays. I mean, I just can't be like, it's called getting cute. Don't get cute with him. Mm-hmm. Now, James Robinson's a little bit different because the team is off. I mean, there's so much bad there, but yeah, I mean, I'd like to know what he's got, behind him. But yeah, you got to just play Najee and not worry about it. I mean, not even a second thought.
Yep. I had a similar James Robinson situation where I could use Mark Ingram tonight or wait for James Robinson with Matt Breida as the pivot. So it's not ideal at all. But I've been going back and forth with that one as well. I'm leaning towards Breida because I have concerns about Taysom, and I have concerns about the two tackles being out for New Orleans tonight. And it just seems like that team is kind of a dumpster fire of an offense right now. And at least Breida, like you guys said, New England might allow them to run a little bit more. What is your thoughts on that start sit?
Say it again though.
So jam in Mark Ingram tonight, or wait on Robinson with Breida as the pivot.
I think
those are always tough.
I think you got to wait on Robinson. I guess. What's the news on Robinson? I'm sorry, I don't have that up to date.
So he did not practice today. So they held him out today, which it's not looking good. But it could. I saw somebody saying that maybe he was resting today, but I don't know. With the Rams coming up, it's kind of like
it is gross.
It's very gross. It's tremendously gross.
Because you got to like lurch ahead with Mark Ingram, which is, you're like, no, that's my guy. Like, it's really rough. I think I'd probably wait and play James Robinson over Ingram. That's slight. I don't think they're pretty close, right? I mean, I guess the downgrade from Ingram to Breida isn't enough to play him over James Robinson, right? I think that's kind of the way I look at it.
Yeah, and Breida might have the most juice right now because
Yep.
one's banged up and Ingram's coming off an injury, and Breida has looked good running the ball. And like you said, Belichick's going to take some things away. Breida might be a guy who ends up with a decent number.
Yeah.
You guys want to see gross?
Yeah.
I think we got gross right here. ML's got the gross.
ML.
I was
That's
looking
a
at
good
that
one.
one.
Right there. That's pretty
I
good.
stopped
I'm
reading
going to let
it,
Jackson
I stopped
Theo
reading.
go first on this because I already have my answer ready to roll. So I'm going to let you guys do it.
I'm awful because I'm such a sucker for Galladay. I am, man. I was doing startups this offseason. I've got him in 2 startups I did, and it's just really, really painful. Like, I thought that, Daniel Jones throwing the ball downfield was going to be like, the one thing he did, right, was hold on to the ball too long and throw it downfield to like guys like Slayton and whatnot. And I was like, Galladay will be perfect. It won't be a ton of targets, but he'll have a few just pop games where it's like, 3 catches for 100 and a touch. He's just going to have a few of those. And maybe, and it's been none of that at all. I mean, it's been absolutely awful. Now Garrett's gone. Crowder, I think you almost have to play Crowder. You can't play Curtis Samuel. He can't, I've got a few Curtis Samuel spots, and I didn't play him at all this last week. I was a little bit scared. I always like to see a guy come back from injury anyway. That was not encouraging. He played only about 20 or 30% of snaps, if that. I think he got 1 target. Crowder, though, is interesting. What do you guys think there? I mean, I think it's probably Crowder, especially in a PPR.
Yeah.
It's gross.
It's very – so Elijah Moore had a 33% of the targets. There was only 24 total targets, though. So Crowder it's become such a floor play. It's like you're asking for 10 points out of your wide receiver. I actually would go Kenny Galladay. Freddie Kitchens – so I live on Long Island, so I read a lot of the Giants and Jets stuff, which is a little bit depressing for my neighbors that are Giants and Jets fans. But for me, I'm neutral. I could care less. But Freddie Kitchens has talked up getting the ball to Galladay, and he did have him targeted 7 times last week.
Yeah,
so he
I
caught
saw
3
that.
passes for 50, but
3.
7 targets seem like seven targets seem like a step forward. And I think that you'll see
It's true.
You'll see 7. I think 7+ targets this week potentially. And I think that with Crowder, I'm not sure he'll see that. So I would go with Galladay. I think Freddie Kitchens is, going to do his best to get Galladay the ball. I mean, he's talking up getting Galladay the ball. He's talking up getting Saquon the ball more. So hopefully he does that this week. I would just kind of suck it up and roll the dice with Galladay. I think unless you're a huge favorite and you just can get by with a 10-point week out of your wide receiver 3 or your flex, then I would go with Galladay.
Crowder saw his lowest snap share and lowest target total of the season this past week, which was interesting. I mean, I don't know. Like you said, I mean, Elijah Moore obviously taking a step forward, but even still, I mean, he had been getting targets up until this past week, and that's why it's a little bit gross. Like, you don't know if it's like, is Crowder sort of being moved off the spot, or was that just an aberration? One of those two
Right.
things is true, and we're going to find out with this play this week. And you're right, Galladay is a big talent, although he seemed disinterested at best. And now, but the point is, like you say, I mean, if they're going to try and scheme him in and get him the ball, I mean, 3 catches on 7 targets, not optimal, but hey, look, the 7 targets is looking up and he is a downfield threat. So you're probably right. Who's got the better chance of scoring? Again, probably Galladay. So you're probably right. It's Galladay, but it's just, man, I've been hurt by him. My heart is hurt by Galladay all season.
Well, the thing with Galladay, especially like Dynasty, is you couldn't really sell him in the offseason because you like I had him in a couple spots, especially like even in one of my better teams on the FFPC, but it's like you were always thinking he was going to outperform what his value was at that point.
Right.
For me, that's kind of what it was. It was like he's going to be one of these guys that's going to be worth more on my bench or in my lineup than me trading him right now where his value is. And he's never really done anything to kind of bring that up, you know, where there was an opportunity to sell him. So you're pretty much stuck with him. And then he ends up being that bye week fill in or that injury fill in, where when you're comparing him to these guys, you're thinking, fuck, it's Kenny G, man. You know, how can I not play him right now? But then he goes in and he catches 3 of 7 targets and you're like, fuck, you know, like
it's ugly, man.
It's one of those.
72 million, fellas. 72 million.
Oh, wow. Imagine that, eh?
Honestly, that's part of the reason I was picking him too. It's like, you know, I wasn't sure that it was all over for him. I know he's injury prone. He's a little bit of a deep threat only, all that sort of thing. But they paid him. I was like, they're going to throw it to him. You know, they're not going to just ignore him because they're heavily invested and they're committed next year. And so I never thought he would just get schemed out. Even if he was bad, I thought he would still get bad targets, like the AJ Green attention that he got last year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So here's my answer to this. You know, Galladay out of the ones listed there is definitely the right move. But honestly, I'm dumping Crowder onto the waiver wire, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to pick up Juwan Jennings, or I'm going to pick up DeAndre Carter, somebody like that.
All the guys I've picked up on waivers the last 2 days, Dan. I love it.
Deshaun Jackson revenge game. Deshaun Jackson revenge.
I'm going to give myself a good option. Yep. Deshaun Jackson, if he's out there. But I'm going to at least give myself an option where if, like, all of a sudden we find out it's Glennon that's, going for the Giants, you know, I've got something I can throw in there because you can't feel good about Samuel. You know, you might want to hang on to him because, you know, if he works his way into good shape, he could still help you this year. But Crowder, I really don't see helping anybody the rest of the year. So I think he's definitely somebody you can just, you know, toss to the side and
there's another guy was grabbing.
Grab somebody that's working right now.
Guy.
There's another guy right there that was grabbing all over. You know what my favorite are? I love these leagues. I love leagues where it's like you can go in and just go on the waiver wire after the blind bid thing processes, and they're just sitting there like the fishbowl. I grabbed all the guys Dan just mentioned, including Shaughnessy. Those are the best leagues, man. You go in like Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, you just pick up guys.
Man, I got O'Shaughnessy everywhere. I can't. You know, it was interesting because O'Shaughnessy came out week 1, you know, 80% snap share. I forget the targets. He had good amount of targets, and then he hurts himself in week 2. Yeah. And then he's out, and they get Dan Arnold. And I was wondering what to do with O'Shaughnessy because, I mean, it's not like he's some sort of stud, but, you know, his opportunity was going to be pretty good. And I'm like, well, now with Dan Arnold there blocking him, and then Dan Arnold hurts himself right at the perfect time for O'Shaughnessy to come back in. My dynasty teams really appreciate.
We lost Jack.
So Dan and I had some O'Shaughnessy on our main event team earlier in the year, and we were disappointed when he got hurt. But I think it's a great call by Boozy there.
I was gonna say, don't apologize, dude. I just realized we're 5 minutes away from ending this thing, and I just found Theo's line of questions. So that just means 2 things: is 1, today was way too busy, and B, we got to get you back on, Jax. Like we got a whole lineup of questions that we haven't even touched on, and we're 53 minutes through. So guys, smash the like if you like what you've heard tonight. Hopefully we've helped you out. Keep the questions going. We'll keep them going as long as we can. But we'll get Jax back on to get a little deeper into some more down the stretch, hunt for the ship type of questions.
I would love the anatomy of the if you and everybody here. We talked about this last time Jax was on. He has some fantastic anatomy of a wide receiver 1, anatomy of I believe it was a top 15 running back, or was it
Yeah, I'm trying to find elite. So I honestly, the cutoffs were arbitrary. They really are. I mean, because again, it's not an exact science. We're just trying to identify it. And that's where things like Eli Mitchell come from too, because it's like, you're just kind of trying to figure out what they look like. And they don't look like Javian Hawkins.
So if you're a dynasty player, Jax is an absolute must follow. You heard how good he is in redraft tonight, but his dynasty stuff is how we first got in touch. And I absolutely look forward to talking to you this offseason about this incoming rookie class, how we're gauging guys moving forward, maybe some dynasty startup values, because you're one of the sharpest guys going with that kind of stuff for sure.
That's my stuff, man. I love that stuff. I'll come on anytime. You guys are awesome. I love you guys. I mean, you guys are so respectful, kind, and I love it. I love being here. I love you guys are good. I love it. You guys are great. A lot of respect from our side of the table here at the Undroppables for what you guys do, and you guys are just doing great work, and you're cool. So all that.
Appreciate that. Appreciate
that.
You guys are awesome.
Same. Thanks, guys. Smash the like, guys. We're at 55. Well, let's do another couple questions as we close this out. And Dan, Theo, any wise words or Jax before we close this thing out?
I don't have any wise words.
All right. So we have one more question from Johnny there. Do you expect Dallas to throw more today with Kellen Moore as coach?
Oh, that's right. I totally forgot about that. That's right.
And for that one, I guess the way I look at it is I think Kellen Moore's been calling the offense the entire time. So I don't really think this is going to make that much of a difference. Gallup is certainly somebody that I would consider playing tonight, especially with Amari Cooper on a snap count. And I'm not quite sure how to interpret that question, if that's Gallup, Laviska, or Moreau.
Yeah, I think it's Laviska or Moreau, and I think he's already decided on Gallup.
Okay.
That's kind of the way I see it.
All right.
I would actually I'd probably play Foster Moreau over
Same,
Yep.
easily.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. That dude's a beast, man, especially in the red zone.
Yep.
I think he'll get similar usage as Waller. I don't think if Waller's out, I don't think really much changes. He's not quite as athletic, but it seems like Carr loves him. I would rock Foster Moreau over either of those guys as well. Start, sit, trade. JD, Dan, and Theo. Come on, Billy.
That's for me. I mean, no way. I ain't touching that.
Yeah,
what is it?
Muzio's trying
F,
to stir
Mary,
the pot.
kill.
Muzio's stirring the pot.
No,
there you go.
No. I start them all. I got 3 flexes.
Nice.
So Mel, I know option D, Slim Pickens, Josh Reynolds, or Juwan Jennings, but I'll honestly either one over Crowder. You might as well get them on your roster, and
I'm playing Josh Reynolds there very comfortably for me.
And Nelson Sousa and I are starting Josh Reynolds this week in the New York
Djax is also available.
I love that name.
Djax, revenge game. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think Josh Reynolds by quite a bit. Like I said, I mean, they're both kind of gross plays, but Juwan is not going to be part of the game plan. It's going to be IU kid. It's going to be all that. Whereas I think when you talk about Josh Reynolds, I think that he might be their wide receiver 1. I mean, in a bad offense without a good passing game, but still their wide receiver 1, in my opinion.
And that's why any tight end premium league right now, if I'm contending, I'm trying to buy Kittle from those non-contending teams right now, because especially with Debo hurt, and I just feel like Kittle's going to be the tight end to take you to the promised land right now.
Could very well be. I know I traded for Elijah Mitchell, as you did too. Part of the reason is just look at their schedule down the stretch. I mean, if Elijah keeps that job, doesn't get hurt, and knock on all the wood you got, he could be the league winner. I really think, if you're asking me, I know it's not a question, but who's your league winner? To me, it could very, very well be Elijah Mitchell going forward. So.
Which would be awesome, because he's been there for you from the beginning. He obviously there was a couple off weeks, but it's not like the guy that you pick up in week 12, 11. Like, you've had him from the beginning.
Yeah, if you got him in after week 1 and spent, I in a couple leagues 100% fab for him because I thought he's that good, and he obviously he's been somewhat disappointing because he's been in and out of the lineup with injury, but God, if he'd have played all year, I think he'd have been like this year's J-Rob for sure. And I think he's got a higher upside for the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season here as we head into the playoffs. It's going to be he could absolutely win people leagues.
Absolutely.
I got a JT Elijah Mitchell team that I'm just like, just stay healthy. Come on.
Mm-hmm. Especially when that JT Elijah team had Akers. It's perfect. He slides right in.
It did. Yeah. If there's one player it had Akers. Every team had Akers. Yeah.
Okay, let's do one more. Choose two in the flex: Waddle, Ayuk, or Hollywood.
It's a champagne problem by Johnny Guerrero. That's like a flex question. He's like, my team is in good shape. You start Waddle 100%. I think I'm going Ayuk. It's really hard to choose two of them. I like all three of them. But I think I'm going Waddle and Ayuk with no Debo there. I think I'm going Ayuk. And how can you sit Jalen Waddle at this point? Jalen Waddle looks tremendous.
I agree.
I'm with you 100%. I mean, you got to play Waddle at home against the Giants. And then, I really like Ayuk this week. I think Ayuk for sure. And I'd probably sit as hard as it is Marquise Brown. Again, maybe if you're an underdog, you consider finding a way to get Marquise in because he has that, sort of huge upside with, multiple deep touchdown plays. But I just think, for the safety of Waddle and Ayuk, I love that.
Yeah, I think Ayuk's the safe play there, and Marquise is the, if you got to go for it, if you're in chase position, then you want to have Marquise on your team. But
yep. Yeah, it's Waddle and either Marquise or Ayuk if you're a big favorite or big underdog. That's right.
Yep.
I think that's right.
Yep. There you go.
All right, guys. This has been a blast. Make sure you follow Jax at Dino Game Theory on the Twitter sphere. He's a must follow. We talked about all the goodness that he drops over there at the Undroppables. We appreciate you hanging with us again. And like I said, we got to get you back on and go through Theo's questions and just get some more of that dynasty goodness. But guys, good luck this week. Don't overthink it, man. I think that's a lot of it is sometimes you overthink it. There's nothing worse. You scrolling down your score and you lose by a couple points and you see the one dude on your bench, your Antonio Gibson a couple weeks ago that you were thinking, oh, I should have sat him, and he went off for 2 touchdowns. Just remember why you drafted some of these guys, or why you traded for some of these guys, or why you spent that money on the waiver for some of these guys when you're setting your lineup. That's my 2 cents before we close this out. Dan, Theo, anything else?
Man, just, like you say, you gotta play the guys that can get you the result that you need. Don't be playing for the friendliest loss. Be playing to win. If that means that you got to throw in some high variance guys because you need the upside, do it. Don't be throwing in the guys that you feel like can get you a safe 10 points. They're not going to help you out. They're not going to get you where you want to go. So don't be afraid to do what it takes to win.
Yeah, I'll reiterate what Dan just said. I think that was a great call. Be smart with your lineup decisions. Don't get cute. Be realistic of your matchup. I think that's one of the most important things. Be realistic of your matchup. Like Dan said, if you need to start a potential home run threat, I'd rather lose going down swinging than lose with a bunch of, Rex Burkheads. And you've been grinding with us all summer, getting ready for redraft season in the GOAT District. I hope everybody who listens to the GOAT District take down some league titles this year.
For sure. And let us know about it, too, when you do.
Yep.
Love it.
Good luck this week, boys. Jax, that was awesome.